Hi, welcome to Just Thinking Out Loud. My name is Desi-Rae. At some point, you might not be able to hear that greeting anymore.
Oh my god, what am I doing?
At least on any mainstream platform. Recently, censorship has ramped up when it comes to big tech companies like Twitter and Facebook. They banned Trump. Trump is the person who was elected by almost half of the country, at least of the people who voted in the United States. And the United States is a beacon in many ways. I'm not saying it's not flawed to many countries in the world. The United States has principles of free speech that come from culture, and then they get imbued into the law itself. So while I do think that companies like Twitter and Facebook can ban whomever they want, we do know that they are not consistent in how they apply their rules. And we also know that they, in the past, especially Twitter, have stated that Twitter is a public forum. So the president's tweets couldn't be deleted, or he couldn't block people from responding to him, for example. But then they just changed their mind whenever they wanted. Twitter also recently had some posts up from foreign leaders and the Chinese Communist Party that were clearly egregious violations of human rights law, but they don't care about that when it comes to quote-unquote inciting violence or violating their terms of service, because what they're actually doing is not being consistent in terms of their principles, but they are trying to control an outcome. And that is what people do, and that's a good thing to look for when you're wondering whether or not someone is trying to control a situation and they're trying to control the US election. It is looking at whether or not they're consistent in their principles and not the actual outcome that they're trying to get, because it's a principle that actually matters. This isn't really about Trump, but I do think it says a lot because of who he is and him being elected. That is very important, and as a lot of people have been saying, tech companies may not have been vested certain power, but they have it anyway because of the technology and the fact that everyone uses their platforms. So they're not elected in order to decide who society should be hearing from, which is what the purpose of the government is to figure out how we're going to organize ourselves and how we're going to decide how to go about things when interacting with each other. That's the purpose of the government. Twitter and Facebook, they are bypassing that, and they're going to continue to do that because they believe that they are doing the right thing. A video surfaced recently on Project Veritas that showed Jack Dorsey saying that Trump's account was only just the beginning. I personally didn't take it the way Project Veritas took it, interpreted what he was saying. I don't think that they're specifically trying to target conservatives, at least in the video. That's not what was said, but I do think that's what's going to happen. And it's not just conservatives, it's anybody who doesn't fall within their idea of what is the correct way of viewing the world. Right now, because they have a left-leaning bias, that might mean mostly conservatives, but I really think it's anybody who in their minds doesn't have their worldview. Now they're going to think that they're applying their principles neutrally, but they're not. We've all seen that, and the actions are what tell you what's really going on. But I do think that they might be blind to what they're doing. The point that I'm trying to make is that this is not going to stop. This is going to continue. A lot of people have moved over to Gab, for example. They are under attack right now because it's been said that they're events be organized by people who want to do horrible things in terms of violence, political violence. However, that happens all the time on Facebook and Twitter. Gab cooperates with law enforcement, and I also think, I don't care what people's reasons are, their justifications, like what Jack is doing. It's what's actually occurring, not their intentions that matter. So Gab is being attacked because it's not just an alternative, but it's a viable alternative to Twitter, even though right now it might be concentrated with conservatives and people who specifically want to have free speech because their speech is on the edge of what free speech allows. But Twitter itself and any platform starts off niche because there are people who really are into it and support it, and then it grows from there. So people are attacking Gab. They've been doing that for a long time. I have a video about how to install Gab even though you can't, and Apple is trying to ban it. So you just use the web app version of it and put an icon on your phone if you're interested in that. It's not just Gab, there's also Signal, because Facebook, who owns WhatsApp, is pushing new updates to basically have WhatsApp be another vehicle for it to collect user information, to sell ads, etc. What they do with Facebook to make money. People are mad at Signal because bad people can organize on there. Well, if bad people can organize on something, good people can organize on something too. That's not how you decide. Like, that's why platforms should be neutral, because if good people can organize on something, bad people can do it too, and vice versa. That is not a reason to stop something from existing. All that being said, none of what is happening is surprising. There's the power that's there, and so they're going to use it because that's what people do. We're all biased, and when we have control, we want to arrange the world in the way that we think is best. And we will all do it. We will all think we have good intentions, and maybe we do have good intentions, but we're all biased and tribalistic and capable of not seeing our own flaws and then taking that out on other people. I mean, the hypocrisy thing, which I already mentioned, really signals a lot, because it's not about stopping hateful acts from happening in the world, because I'm mentioning their tweets left up by dictators, and there were the tweets about Uyghur women being most likely sterilized, and Twitter leaves that up because they're trying to control the situation. They don't have these principles that they hold steadfast to, because that's really hard to do in actuality, and I don't even blame them for not doing it. I just want to say that this is something that is going to continue. All that being said, goes back to what I said at the beginning, is that you might not be able to hear that greeting from me, hello, welcome to Just Thinking Out Loud, my name is Desi-Rae, anymore, especially on this platform. So I want to let you know that I'm going to be on Gab at Desi-Rae Thinking, and I will look for any other alternative platforms as well. I don't think Parler is going to last because they're also banning them. I'm going to be putting videos on Library. They're already there automatically. There's BitChute. You always see my links pop up. I'm probably just going to have to be more forthright in reminding you about things. There's also another form of library called odyssey.com, which is a nice place that you can go to, and you'll find my videos there as well. I forgot to mention when I was recording, but I'll also be on Minds, my videos in particular, and I'm considering DLive and Rumble as well. I guess I'll keep updating you as I go along in terms of where else you can find me. But the best way to keep in touch is looking at the links in the description and subscribing to the newsletter. So I just want to let you guys know to follow me there. You can also go to my podcast, justthinkingoutloud.tv/podcasts, and justthinkingoutloud.tv/newsletter. Those are two forms of staying in communication that, you know, you'll be able to find me whether or not I'm making videos on YouTube. It's very possible that I might not be making videos on YouTube. I know, I don't think people realize how quickly things can turn, but I think I do. Especially reading the Gulag Archipelago. It was very clear to see that what Twitter was calling incitement to violence was not so, or you could call so many things that people say online as incitement to violence, but it's not. If you look at the tweets that they put out explaining after the fact why they had banned Trump. Not to mention all the instances of Democratic leaders in the United States all summer long in 2020 being okay with incitement to violence against others. Politics is a manifestation of human instincts, so I think that kind of hypocrisy exists on both the left and on the right. It's just a human thing. But when platforms favor a certain side, whether or not they realize that they do, they're just going to ignore the side that they like. I do think that these platforms are digging their own graves, because they're going to have a phase of technological revolution where governments can't control that technology, which would bring its own problem, but I guess it's just the forward momentum of humanity. They're trying to control the situation right now. For every action, there's a reaction, so they are, I think, digging their own graves. It's just gonna be uncomfortable in the meantime. Anyway, go find me, Gab, Library, my podcast. Don't forget to support the channel, justthinkingoutloud.tv/support. Please go ahead and take the time to do that. You might not hear this either. Have a good day. Goodbye.